You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
One actress, I can't tell you her name, and I can't tell you the director's name. It's a very well-known director. But this, and he studied with me, and this process saved her a career in one day. I'll tell you what happened. He was the director, his name is John, I can tell you that much. Was directing an episode of a very successful TV series. And she was a regular on the series. There were a lot of regulars. She was one of them. And for some reason, over that whole season, she had become terribly difficult to work with and problematic and complaining all the time. And he was warned. He had never met her or worked with her. He was warned about this and said, just do the best you can. Just, try to keep her online. Now, they can't get rid of her. She's a regular and all that of the series. Mm-hmm. And he went in there and started working with her on the first day and immediately saw the problem. She was difficult. She said she didn't want to do things. She just didn't like the script. He went, whoa, we got a problem here. And he stopped and he said to her, let's go for a walk. And she said, what? I said, come on, let's go for a walk. Just stop everything, go for a walk. So they went for a walk. They left the sound stage and everything, went outside and went for a walk. And he started talking to her. And she started explaining everything, all the problems. He says, okay, I get it. He says, but can I talk to your character? She said, what? Can I talk to your character? Now, that was the introduction. She had never heard. And she said, oh, yeah, sure. And he transferred all that anger and rage that she had into what the character was dealing with in the scenes that day. Now, the anger, the rage, the disappointment, the sense of betrayal, all of that. He says it worked perfect. He talked, and by the time they walked back on the set, she was the character. They walked into the scene and she gave a brilliant performance. And she kept giving a brilliant performance the entire day and the rest of that series, to the point, the first I heard of this was not from John. The first I heard about this was from her. Because she asked John during that, she says, where did you learn how to do that? And so he told her. Great. And she called me. And said, I got to talk to you. And it was true, because I talked to John and the producers. And after that, she was fine. Now, she still had her issues and her problems, but she had a way of sort of releasing them or venting them through the character. And suddenly she was fine. Saved her career. So at least saved that job. So that's how it can help a lot, because all those problems that she was having were hurting her work and everything else. But if you put them into the character the way he did, without saying, you can't say to the actor, oh, use all of that in the character. It won't work. It won't work, because then the actor's brain is thinking, okay, how do I use this in the character? Well, then you're not the character anymore. You can't be the character and be thinking about acting as the character at the same time. That's schizophrenia. That won't work. You have to just be the actor or be the character. And this process allows the actor to be the character totally.
Now, what about, I know there's assistant directors, etc., but let's say you got multiple actors throughout the movie. I'm just going by the film I watched of you. You're going back and forth between these two. How about if you have 5 or 6 actors that really are in this scene? I mean, you go crazy. How do you bounce from this guy to that girl to, back and forth like a pinball?
Yeah, the most I've done in that type of interrogation you saw in the film, where I'm just working with 2 actors, the most I've done where I've worked with several actors simultaneously was 6. And it was a family. So, it's a mother and a father and 4 children. There's a family. Well, you work with all of them as a group, which I could show you how to do. But you say, how do you do that? Well, it takes practice. It's like anything. It's like, in a foreign language or a musical instrument. You have to practice it. And you have to practice it all the time, a lot, to get really skilled at it. I once was challenged, which was fun. I did it, to interrogate 15 actors. They say, you've got 15 actors here. Can you interrogate them all? And I said, absolutely. And I did. And I interrogated them all. But while I was interrogating them, I turned them into characters that this is called blind interrogation, where nobody knows who the characters are to begin with.
Okay.
And I will create a character. And I will create a character. And then I would link them together. By the end of it, all these 15 people were 15 people in one small village, one small town who all knew each other and had relationships with each other, all done through interrogation. Now that takes a lot of practice to do that.
I'm sure.
And I'm not suggesting that everybody has to go to that extreme,
Right.
but it can be done. But you're right, when there's a lot of actors on the set and you're doing a scene, let's say you have a scene with 4 or 5 or 6 people in it, you have to keep all 6 characters in your mind. And because, assuming if you're working the way I'm working, you have interrogated all of them before in the past. Now you're doing this one scene, and I can turn to any one of those actors and just mention the character's name to that actor. Just say that, Sally, so suddenly she knows she's being addressed as the character. And I can say one line to her, one line of interrogation, and which can set her off into the scene perfectly. Now, that's high-speed interrogation. It can work. And I can do that for all 6 characters and then send them in.
Get in there.
Yeah, it is. It is very much. It is very much like a basketball coach saying one thing to that player and then send him in. That player goes in with one thing on his head, on his mind, and what he's going to do. He's not just the player sitting on the bench anymore. Now he's part of the game, and he has to live up to that expectation.
So the Travis International Film Institute, TIFA. But when someone goes there, besides this particular specific area, what else can they gather?
Oh, they can gather a lot. First of all, the interrogation process, which we're talking about now, is just a part of a larger umbrella, which is called the Travis technique. Mm-hmm. So this is just one technique of working with actors. It's a big one and it's a powerful one. But they can learn techniques about staging. They can learn techniques about casting. There's a series of, I think, over 30 interviews on that website, which you can watch for free. A lot of directors don't know how to work with actors, and a lot of directors are fearful of actors.
Really?
They're afraid of them. And especially if they are dealing with well-known actors or highly skilled actors.
Makes sense. And
you got to realize many of the actors you're working with have been in more films than you've made. So they have more experience on the set and all of that. And as one director said to an actor, he says, "I'm so envious of you." And the actor said, "Why?" He says, "Well, because you're in the best film school in the world. What you learn every day on the set as you're working is enormous." So in the casting process, you will see quickly how skilled the director is at working, not just with actors, but with people and getting them to give their best. And that's when the relationship starts, right at the casting process. And you may cast that actor, and it may be 2 or 3 month shoot or something, whatever it is. But that's the beginning of that relationship. And it's a crucial beginning. It's really saying, when an actor reads, and right after the reading, I start interrogating the character. Like Ted Bundy, let's say it is Ted Bundy again. And I address the actor as Ted. Ted, when's the last time you killed someone? That was great, wasn't it? Because I mean, come on, didn't you tell yourself that was the best killing you'd ever done? I mean, the way she screamed, and if you watch it, now you're watching an actor and you see how easily, quickly, and without resistance will he drop into that character. If he resists it a lot, it's not going to work. If he goes for it to the point that he stuns you and surprises you, this is the guy, maybe the guy you want. That's where it starts. But besides, as you said, just trying out the technique there, it's more than that. I'm also telling that actor in a very subtle but not so subtle way, this is how I work, and this is how we're going to work. So I'm really testing them to see, can you work with me? Can I work with you? And during the last big casting session I had, which was casting 11 characters in a play, there was one actor who was just stunning and really surprised me, really surprised. It was not an actor I knew before. But he told me later that in terms of building and working on his character, he discovered the character during the audition.